Okay, we got the male body image crisis from Cole Hastings. Okay, what is going on with the male body these days?
A man named Romario dos Santos Alves walked into a bodybuilding gym in Goiânia, Brazil. As he made his way through the gym, he noticed that many of the men working
The oil bros. I am not unfamiliar with these guys.
out had massive arms that were almost cartoon-like in size.
What do you mean almost cartoon like? Bro, I think cartoons have more realistic proportions than this. Like this guy it in this case, Arnold, it is a tumor. It is a tumor. Like this guy's got like no chest, and I think Popeye has more realistic proportions than this.
Curious and interested in becoming as big as possible, he asked them what they did to build their arms. And
What do you mean build? There's no building. There is just injecting oil. And those were so like hilariously bad. Like, bro.
that was when they introduced him to something called synthol. This substance, a mixture of oil, alcohol, and lidocaine, is injected into the muscles to enlarge them without the need for extra exercise. Romario started injecting himself regularly and found the immediate results to be addicting, but that added size didn't come without a price. After
Ugh.
taking synthol for under a year, small rocks started to form in his biceps due to the calcification of the muscle tissue in synthetic oil. He experienced tremendous daily pain and was told by his doctor that they were going to have to amputate his arms. Romario fell into a deep depression.
Oh, so now what? I mean, granted, like, let's be real, guys. It's his money. He can do with it whatever he wants to look however he wants. But I also get to say whatever I want. And you, sir, look stupid. Like, what? How do you think this looks good? This is just as bad as, like, the girls that get the Brazilian booty lifts and think that no one can tell that it's not a surgery. Like somebody needs to like tell these people we know it's fake. You know it's fake. I know it's fake. Everybody knows it's fake. You didn't actually eat a lot of calories. You didn't actually go to the gym and lift a lot. You didn't do any of it. You put some oil in your arms, bro, and it doesn't look good. Guys don't think it looks good. Girls don't think it looks good. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe his DMs are flooded with dudes and chicks. Like, oh, let me feel your arms. Let me feel your traps. Ugh. I could be wrong, but like, I don't think I'm wrong.
And even attempted to unalive himself before the procedure. But when he went in to get a CAT scan, he was graced with a fortunate stroke of luck. After reviewing the results, the doctor told him that they did not have to amputate his arms, but they would have to perform surgery to get rid of the calcification. Although
Yeah.
Romario doesn't dabble with synthol anymore,
Yeah, like he's working out. Why can't you just like work out like a normal person? Why you gotta inject all the stuff in there? Like that's a respectable curling weight for like working reps and stuff like that. But we know if you did all that weight, your arms ain't gonna look like this. Bro, like look at this shape. Where's my Epic pen? Come on, Epic pen. Does it not want to load up? Okay, here it is. I don't care about it. Like, look at this. Like, what? This is not normal. This is not a normal arm. And you probably got some stuff in your chesticle region, brother. That's not normal. Okay?
his desire to become a professional bodybuilder remains and led him to explore other
Professional bodybuilder? In what league? Bro, you'd get outed so quickly. They would never accept you. Are you kidding me? Bro, your forearms look like they belong to like somebody else.
Other types of substances like horse tranquilizer. There are many other stories like Romario of men who are unsatisfied with their physiques, going to extreme measures to appear like Greek gods or Marvel characters.
Why you gotta do this, man? Like, why? Everybody knows this is not real. You look like you're smuggling a loaf of bread in your bicep. You are out arming Iron Man in a suit. Iron Man looks like a little kid compared to this dude's arms. But this doesn't look good though. It doesn't look good and it's not functional. Like, ugh.
Gods or Marvel characters, but some of them don't end up being as lucky as he was. For the average person, this might seem...
You know what those shapes are? What they remind me of? Like, if I was like a little kid and I saw a bodybuilder for the first time, I would think of those like muscles that like stick out the most and be like, yeah, doc, put the needle right there and just make it like big. But don't put any in my legs, don't put any in my calves, just my upper body, only upper body.
Incomprehensible. How could someone become so addicted to the idea of being big that they resort to drugs that they know will ruin their life? But
because they wanted to take it, they wanted the results without putting in the work. That's what it was. Like most people, they want all the results with none of the work. Which is fine. I mean, that's understandable. That's not illogical. I mean, most people want that. So, I mean, it's just that these guys actually took it another step and actually tried to follow through with it by doing the old oil injections.
Trend of pursuing an increasingly unattainable physique has begun to spread to a more vulnerable demographic. Young teenage boys.
Yeah.
Bigorexia, a body dysmorphic disorder where an individual obsesses over their muscle mass, has reached a level of serious concern in the fitness industry.
I'm never happy with myself. I always think I'm kind of small. No matter what kind of pump I get, if I get like a super sick pump and then it disappears a couple hours later, and I'm like, oh man, I could always be a little bit bigger. Should I eat some more calories or should I cut? But if I cut, I'm going to look flat and not as round, and this is like the mental gymnastics that these type of people go through. And honestly, I don't feel sorry for any dudes that think they have bigorexia. Who gives a fuck? If you think you have bigorexia, chances are you are already in the small percentage of people that work out regularly. Chances are. Okay? So you're already doing good, brother. This whole other love, like, I gotta compare myself to the bodybuilders and that guy was bigger than me, that guy's bigger than me. Like, this comparison thing, I get it with the comparison thing. Like, I gotta compare and I gotta be the biggest guy. Absolutely, not relatively. Like, I get it, but at some point, like, when does it stop? When do the comparisons stop? There's always going to be a bigger fish, dude. There's always going to be a bigger fish.
One study estimates that 1 in 10 bodybuilders are affected by bigorexia. And
oh, that's 1 in 10? Bro, try like 11 out of 10. Okay? Like, almost every one of them. All right? But the reasoning is because I don't have the fucking title. All right, I may be the champion in my state. I may be the champion in my country, but I need to be the champion's champion. All right, there's always that extra level of ego that comes along with it. I need to be the absolute number one guy. It's not enough for me to be the state guy, the national level guy. That's not enough.
And other studies have estimated that the prevalence of muscle dysphoria was 5.9% among college students and between 13.6% and 44% among male weightlifters. Why is there such a large gap between the actual numbers? Well, partly because it isn't being talked about enough, but also because it's very hard to identify.
And also, what are the chances people would actually tell the truth if they know they are being studied? That because they don't want to appear to look like a lunatic. If they look like, this dude looks good. This dude looks in crazy good shape. But who knows? Does this guy do you think he has bigorexia? Would he be truthful or would he be lying if he knew he was being tested and asked that question? Do you think you have bigorexia? What if he answers no? Is he being truthful or is he lying? Because he doesn't want to come off as like a lunatic. Right? There's that aspect to it.
Most people with this condition appear outwardly healthy, but inside, they are dealing with a mental battle that can lead to severe depression and anxiety. How do I know? Because
it can lead to severe depression. Probably, but let's be real. It's more like functional depression. Is that going to stop you from going about your day? Probably not. You're more like functionally depressed, okay? Let's get things straight.
Because I was one of those men too. So let's try to shine some
that
light
looked
on this
good.
under-researched realm of body dysmorphia and explore why bigorexia is on the rise. In order to understand how we got here, we must first understand where this crisis started, the world of competitive bodybuilding. Bodybuilding as a sport and resistance training solely for the purpose of improving one's aesthetics wasn't popularized until the 1940s, when contests like Mr. America and
AKA purely for cosmetic reasons and zero functionality. Weightlifting for pure cosmetic reasons only. Let's get this straight. They're just bodybuilding. Okay, you're lifting for aesthetics, you're lifting for cosmetics. Even back in the day, as much as the culture has progressed, even though it's black and white days, even at this time, life was way easier than back in the day of cowboys and Indians type shit. Even the culture has progressed this enough, here.
Mr. Universe put more eyes on the scene. The contestants' physiques, though nothing crazy to our current generation, were seen as abnormally large during this time. But this level—
Hey, look at the girl's face! I know this is a cherry pick.
Physiques, though nothing crazy to our current generation—
Look at that vacuum.
were seen as
Look at this. Oh!
abnormally large.
Oh my god! Look at the fucking big old shit-eating grin. Oh my god, I'm so hypnotized. She's looking at her, looking at him, oh my god, which one are you looking at? I want to look at that one too.
During this time. But
And look at her, did you see her eyes ugh?
this level of impressive physique was about to be inflated forever with the introduction of one drug: steroids. Anabolic steroids are a synthetic derivative of testosterone designed to enhance the hormone's muscle-building properties. In the 1970s, bodybuilding reached what
This
is
is wide Arnold, look at this, Jesus.
known as the Golden Era and hit the mainstream through the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, and Dorian Yates, all of whom use steroids regularly. It exposed an entire generation of fitness enthusiasts to a new level of physique, but it wouldn't be seen as a desirable or achievable level of physique for many years to come. You see, during this time, bodybuilders were still seen as genetic freaks. On Muscle Beach, a public gym that most of the biggest bodybuilders in—
Ooh, that's actually kind of crazy to think about. The only reason these guys look this way is because of their genetics alone. Meanwhile, these guys are trying to go to muscular failure with 3 plates. It's that's a lot of weight. Look at Franco's face down here. He's dying. All right, that's not genetic. Right, that's putting in work. What's wrong with putting in some work, people? You too can look pretty damn good and come pretty close to that. You won't look exactly like it, but you could come pretty close. Is close not good enough for you?
in the scene went to, people would view the likes of Arnold and Frank as a spectacle. More than anything, outrageously huge bodybuilders clearly taking some kind of performance-enhancing drugs were like zoo animals. A fun thing to look at, but not something that most kids would look up to. But now that steroids were starting to hit the mainstream, the doors of opportunity to raise the standards of what was considered a great physique were wide open. The portrayal of masculinity in pop culture and other forms of media has always had
Superman,
a firm grip on young men. Before we know who we are or who we want to become, we have always looked to those ideals presented to us to give us direction. Usually these ideals offer more positives than negatives, but in the case of outwardly appearances, it's reaching the ends of extreme. What is considered a strong male physique in movies?
Oh yeah, the Brad Pitt Fight Club thing. I remember when I first saw this, I was like, damn, I want to be like Brad Pitt when he stood up and with the cigarette in his mouth and shit after he got done beating up the blonde dude. Yeah.
Movies, for example, has evolved quite a bit over the years. In the 90s,
Oh yeah, that was like a brutal scene. Him punching him in like the balls or the dick or in the gooch or whatever. That was like I look back, like I haven't watched Fight Club in years, but I like have watched it like multiple times. But like, damn, like everybody was okay with this. Like all the dudes were okay with another dude punching another dude in the balls. Like, damn, like generally, when it's like a bunch of dudes and you see the other dude punch a dude in the balls, it's like, whoa. Everyone's like, whoa. But, I mean, that's just the book. Whatever.
90s, one might have considered Brad Pitt in Fight Club to be absolutely jacked. But if we fast forward 7 years...
Oh, fucking 300. That was the fucking killer movie that did it for everybody, dude. Bro, I am so thankful and lucky that I got to see 300 in the theaters. This was just like another stepping stool for me to like working out, like along with Dragon Ball Z, you know, Fight Club, 300. All right, for me, like some of the first things I did when I was working out was like I was on my mom's front porch doing P90X. If you don't know, P90X was like an at-home workout DVD set that I had to like watch multiple times on a little portable DVD player. And every time I wanted to do a little workout, all you needed was like some free weights, like dumbbells, and then a pull-up bar, and then you could just go to town.
We can see how our desire for more muscle reflected itself in the movie male physique. I remember seeing Gerard Butler's physique in the movie 300 when it came out in 2006.
Yeah.
I was only 9 years old at the time, but I do remember thinking that a body like that was completely unattainable, only reserved for dramatic...
What? Really? Wait, let me hear that again.
Butler's physique in the movie 300 when it came out in 2006. I was only 9 years old at the time, but I do remember thinking that a body like that was completely unattainable.
No. Okay, so I think 2006. How old was I in 2006? 15, 16. I was like somewhere between 14. I think I was like 14 or 15 or maybe 16. One of those. Bro, I thought I wanted to look like this. Oh, these guys just worked out and look like that? That's pretty cool. I mean, but I don't know. I was a little retard when I was a little kid, so whatever. I thought I could look like Goku. I thought I could look like Gerard Butler. Whatever else. Yeah, I thought this was awesome.
Only reserved for dramatic depictions of life. Though he may have looked unbelievably good, Butler reported in interviews that he was working out for 6 hours a day, quote, ruining...
This is Hollywood level training. This is not serious. Okay? Hollywood level training. I mean, go watch some like RP videos of like Dr. Mike Coach critiquing all the Hollywood trainers and all that shit. I mean, he's literally debunked every single one of them. They don't know nothing. Yeah, it's just hilarious to look at, honestly. But you know, I mean, to each their own. I mean, Gerard Butler put a lot of work in. Great, fantastic. 6 hours a day, like, come on, dude. Like back in the day, I 100% believed this, but the older I got, the more nuance I started to understand. It's like, bro, nobody is working out for like insanely hard for like 6 hours a day. Give me a break.
His body just to maintain that level of
Oh, look, it even says Butler said he did everything from CrossFit. Ooh, CrossFit was popping back in the day, dude. Training to building for 300, training to bodybuilding for 300. I was doing everything.
physique, a completely unrealistic lifestyle for the average person. Still, this was a movie where a lot of young men looked up to the main character, and many of them began.
And not just the main character, all the characters looked absolutely good, absolutely like jacked. All the characters, because that was like the whole Sparta thing. Everybody's jacked.
Working out in the hopes that they could one day look like Gerard Butler. How do you think an ideal like that affects the mental health of an adolescent boy?
I just wanted to work out. That, for me, that was it. I was like, let me just keep working out. I'm just going to keep working out. That's it. That's where it started, and that's where it stopped. I wasn't, at least I don't think I wasn't developing like some sort of like mental illness or disease because I didn't look like XYZ. I was like, oh, as long as I'm putting in the work, I'll get there eventually. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes you do it shorter, I guess. Maybe, probably not. But like, I would just see the movie like once or twice and like remember that image and okay, yeah, just keep working out. That's literally it. It's not a complicated thing.
In extreme scenarios, they spend all their time lifting weights, revolving their life around the gym and eating healthy, disregarding any other areas of development. And when their efforts always come up short, their self-esteem plummets, never being satisfied with how they look.
And he literally just said the extreme cases. Do I need to remind you guys of what an extreme case looks like? Like line. Well, let's okay. I want to do that one. Okay, brush. Okay, guys, where does the extreme case happen? All right, this is where most people are. Most people are like in here. Where are the extreme cases? They're over there, and they're over there, guys. Maybe there's a couple like crazy people that had developed some mental diseases. But most people probably were just like, yeah, I saw the movie and got like a gym membership the next day, bro. That's probably it.
Look, despite looking better than most kids their age. Through the early 2000s and then 2010s, the ideal male physique would continue to grow in size. A study conducted in 2006, the same year 300 came out, concluded that action figures have become more muscular and larger over the past 25 years.
Ooh.
Another piece of pop culture, James Bond, saw its most recent actor, Daniel Craig, boasting a much bulkier physique than Sean Connery's James Bond in the 1960s. Just about every form
of this, honestly, he is right. The trend for movies has been just giving more muscle. And in this case, for Thor, whatever this one was, this is like CGI. Let me see.
Media that had an attract.
Yeah, this, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm going to burst your bubble. This is CGI. This, I mean, there's like some degree, like Chris Hemsworth is a pretty pretty fit dude, pretty lean. But guys, he even admitted, yeah, that scene where I was like standing there naked, yeah, that's all CG.
Active male star saw their muscular ideals grow in size as our culture continued.
This actually looked fucking sick. Zac Efron is a G for getting like down that fucking shredded. That's insane. This is like, I don't think there was any CG for this. That's some hard work right there. Like you can see it in his face. He is dying every day he is shooting, brother. But I wasn't like that hyped for like what do you call it? For Baywatch. The only reason I was hyped was I wasn't even hyped, but like once I started watching the commercials for Baywatch, I was like, damn, Zac Efron got that fucking shredded? Sheesh. I should probably go look at this. And then The Rock did his own little like diet cutting thing, and to try to match, because like, bro, God, dude's coming in fucking crazy shreds. Death face, cheekbones, handsome Squidward.
Continuously pushed the standard for what is considered strong and beautiful. And a lot of these actors are accused of using steroids to
Oh yeah, they are. They are. They will not admit it, but they are. 100%, because at least the actors have like some sort of like PR. They have like a PR person, and the PR person has like a vibe of like what is and is not acceptable to like the general population of people. So whenever you say, oh, this actor took steroids, they're like, nah, man, I just ate chicken, broccoli, and rice for for almost every day, every meal. It was so boring, and I had to work out like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day and just eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, and it didn't have anything to do with the performance enhancing drugs. I mean, and honestly, who gives a shit if some actor takes PEDs? They're doing a movie. They're not competing. There's no cheating. If anything, the cheating effect happens when they start doing CG.
Enhance their physique and reach that standard. This is not necessarily a problem on its own. Actors want to be extremely dedicated to their roles, and steroids might allow them to do that without having too many side effects, so long as they keep the dose low. And
I mean, the movie that you're performing for is going to live on way past whatever you think. Don't you want to put on like the best performance you can like possibly imagine? All right, and not just the case for like big muscles. You guys remember this movie? Well, yeah. I mean, last time I checked, didn't Brendan Fraser, like, didn't he put on like a lot of weight for this role? But I think they also did like the fast suit thing. I don't remember exactly. Or let me see. This movie with Christian Bale. Yeah, this is Christian Bale, guys. The method actor, he actually ate a shitload to put on a lot of weight. Or also Christian Bale, also manipulating his body caloric intake to look like this. Like, this is no CGI. He actually looked like this. Okay? The movie will live on way past you. Why would you not want to put your best effort forward to like preserve an image?
Get off of it when filming is over. But many actors often lie about the drugs they are taking, making it seem like their physiques are attainable without any performance-enhancing drug.
And that's the shitty part. All these guys being slimy losers and saying, I didn't take steroids, when clearly you did. Stop lying. All right? Stop telling me the sky is tie-dye when I can easily look out and see that it's blue. Okay?
Drugs.
Did he juice? Did he take steroids?
Oh, watch. Of course not.
No, I love my job and I love Wolverine. I got to be careful what I say here.
I gotta be careful what I say here. Why would you even say that? Even that is a degree. What is it called? Like a degree of admittance. I gotta be careful what I say because I kind of did, so I can't directly admit it. But like, you just admitted it by saying that.
But I had been told anecdotally what the side.
Anecdotally, through somebody else's experience, what the side effects were. And of course, maybe he didn't take any performance enhancing drugs to make the muscles bigger, but he probably took some PEDs to enhance recovery or dry his ass out a little bit more than normal. Like, look at this. There's fucking veins in his abs, for Christ's sake.
side effects are of that. And I was like, I don't love it that much.
Again, this perpetuates a masculine ideal that is becoming
You don't love it that much? Are you fucking kidding me? Bro, you take any normal person and you give them like a couple $1 million to play a fucking Hollywood role, but you say you also have to take steroids. Any normal person is taking that deal. You know, like any normal person that is like sick and tired of going to their 9-to-5 job, or shit, like any homeless person, it just wants a shot to get away from their shitty life. Any normal person is taking that in a heartbeat. Okay? Don't come at me with your stupid morals.
increasingly more difficult to live up to. And when men find the masculine ideal is farther and farther from their reach, two things will happen. They will either go to extreme measures to get as close to that unrealistic ideal, taking dangerous supplements, ruining...
You know why all this stuff is quote unquote extreme? It's because that's what gets the clicks, that's what gets the views, that's what people want to see. People want to see the extremes. They don't want to see the average. They don't want to see Joe Schmo every day. They want to see that fantastical, idealized version of whatever is in their head. They want to see that.
Both their physical and mental health in the process, or they will give up on the idea of looking like that completely and tell themselves that they will never be good looking enough to deserve acknowledgement and validation. But there is one form of media that has wreaked more havoc and done more damage than any other forms of media that have existed in the past few decades.
Here we go.
And that is, unsurprisingly, social media. I just so happened to be getting into fitness and bodybuilding when I was in college in 2015, right when the first real fitness influencers were blowing up. Guys like Sean Thompson and Christian Guzman became figures that I looked up to as a teenager because they were very relatable and transparent about what it took to look like them. I began setting up a workout routine that...
Even this dude look like right here. This looks like a fit dude. This is good.
Revolved around my studies and social life. When I'd go to the dining hall, I'd make sure to add a few extra slices of pork or chicken to my plate.
Yeah.
And soon I was beginning to see my first glimpses of those noob gains, as they're called. The progress was addicting. It was the first time in my life where I felt like I had complete control over the results I was getting in something.
And that's another big aspect to this whole working out thing. Once you start like sticking with it after like a couple months, and you actually see like, you know, if you're doing weight loss, you see like the first like 10, 20, 30 pounds come off. You're like, oh shit, my body's changing. I'm sucked in. This is me. I can control this. It's a piece of your life you can finally control. And that's addicting. Control is addicting. Because what does that imply? Most people don't think they don't have a lot of control in their lives.
And that positively translated into other areas of my life. I had more energy, I felt more confident in social settings, and my discipline was easier to call upon. But when the social media fitness industry really started gaining traction through mediums like Instagram, that's when my self-esteem started to take a dip again. Only this time, it stemmed from an expectation I could never reach.
Oh yeah, all the Instagram filters and whatnot of like, well, it's kind of easy for me because I understand like what to look for. Like the filters of like, okay, if you're looking at a a picture and you look at, let's say, the highlights of a picture, the highlights look extremely white and the shadow areas look extremely black and dark. That's how you know it's a filter. Look at that little area. That looks like damn near true black right there. People don't look like that in real life. So that means there's a filter on it.
As the fitness industry continued to reach new heights in revenue every year, more and more teens were being exposed to the lifestyles of fitness addicts on social media. Extreme fat loss routines, how to bulk up fast.
I mean, this is all like clickbait type titles. This is like been here since the beginning.
Exercise that will blow up your chest. These were the type of engaging titles that got clicks and drew the most attention.
Yeah.
My fitness regimen began to evolve with it. I was now around 2 years into my bodybuilding journey, and I built a respectable physique for myself. And so, with the influence of these influencers, I started an Instagram account in the hopes of becoming a fitness figure myself. A lot of you still don't know this, but for several years, my entire brand and this YouTube channel revolved around fitness and bodybuilding content. With 2 social media accounts dedicated to this, it became ingrained into my identity. And because of that, everything I did had to be in alignment with my bodybuilding goals. At the same time I was growing my pages, an occurrence that was mainly only reserved for celebrities was growing in popularity amongst fitness influencers online. And this is when the fake natty epidemic really took the internet by storm.
The fake natty epidemic, yeah, because being like having like the stamp of approval of the general population saying that you are natty implies that you put in the utmost amount of work that was humanly possible to achieve like some sort of like godlike appearance. When in reality, you probably put in just as much work as anybody else, but the only difference was that you did steroids and the other guy also did steroids, but that guy that did steroids actually admitted it, and you are trying to claim that you did it naturally when you didn't. And nobody likes a liar. We just don't.
Since steroids became available, there's always been people who claim to be natural to appear more marketable. Because when you look incredible, but you convince people you're natural, you feel more relatable to the average consumer. Like I said earlier, it makes them feel like they can reach the same level as you so long as they put in the same work. And many people see using steroids as a shortcut or cheating, making you generally less likable. Now that social media was so...
I mean, yes. I mean, I used to think like that. But the older I got, the less of a shit that I give. And also, like, not only are steroids, like, prominent throughout all competition, and not just steroids, you know, you could use the umbrella term of PEDs, as long as there are, 1, contests of any sort, and number 2, money is on the line for those contests. You can bet your ass there are going to be performance-enhancing drugs. In the case of physical sports, steroids, things to help you recover quicker, things to help you focus more. In the case of, I mean, because look at the Tour de France. You look at all those guys, they're very skinny, doing long-distance bike races and shit. You wouldn't think they're on steroids. Well, joke's on you. They all were, except that they were blood doping. They were taking out all of their blood and putting in somebody else's new blood in there, and who knows what the fuck was in that blood. All right, blood doping, steroids. It's in competition. It's in the NFL. It's in the NBA. It's in the NHL. And this is always what I find funny, to think that it is probably in golf or like not as extreme sports, like I don't know, tennis or badminton or some shit like that. It's funny to think about, but hey, it's probably true. And even in video games, there's PEDs. Nothing like steroids, though. But you have things like stimulants. You have Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, caffeine, even though caffeine's not legal, or caffeine's not illegal.
Popular, this gave any average male...
Yeah, the guy on the right claims he's natural. Rich Piana, he's pretty upfront looking and saying that he does steroids. Okay? Meanwhile, this guy looks damn near similar to Rich, and he says he's natty. Meanwhile, in Rich's head, he's like, what a world-class bullshitter. There's no way, dude. Get that noise out of here.
The opportunity to take advantage of naive young boys and build a following online, so long as they had an impressive enough physique. A study titled Male Body Portrayals on Instagram, conducted in 2020, wanted to evaluate whether those with more muscular physiques received more likes and comments than those who look smaller. And they found that posts depicting men adhering to high levels of leanness and muscularity received significantly more engagement than those who didn't. Whoa, big fucking shocker. The guy...
Yeah, because... you know what it implies? It implies that the more body fat you have, the lazier you are and the less body fat you have, like the more hard work you put in. That's what it implies.
Guy who looks absolutely shredded is getting more likes than the thin, scrawny guy. But I needed to cite this study to emphasize what's about to come. Promoting your physique on social media is not inherently bad. When it's accompanied with some inspiration and good advice, it can actually be a huge force for good and influence people to pursue healthier lifestyles. The problem, which amplifies the rise of bigorexia, comes in when you have thousands of influencers promoting their physiques, which can only be attained using performance-enhancing drugs that claim they are natural just to sell more of their products and supplements. Yeah, bro, you can totally look like me. I haven't been shooting needles in my ass. All I've been doing is using my 10-week workout protocol that's linked in my bio. Oh, also what's in there is my brand new supplement line, comprised of a few herbs mentioned in a Andrew Huberman podcast. That supplement is definitely the reason that I look like this. So you better buy it before it runs out.
That was a lie.
That was a perfect fucking cut, dude. That was a lie. Oh my God. Yeah, it's one big ecosystem. These guys have. You are sucked into the ecosystem, and unless you kind of like are older and you kind of know what to look for, bro, if you're like a little kid and you don't know better, you're in there. You're in the mix.
I can think of a good handful of guys that have made entire careers off of selling an unattainable physique in the form of useless supplements and workout programs. I'm very glad I never stooped so low so as to do anything of that sort, but I would be lying if I said I was totally immune to posting the type of pictures that fitness influencers post online. Being in the industry for as long as I was, I can tell you that there were a lot of tactics used to capture the absolute best picture of yourself. First, you'd only film yourself or take a picture when you had a really nice pump after a workout. Then you'd ideally find some overhead lighting. This creates a stark contrast over your muscles and makes you look leaner and bigger. Then you position the camera at certain angles, such as from above to highlight your chest or at eye level to show off your entire physique. And for the final touch, you'd go into a photo editor and bump up the contrast and texture to make your muscles pop even more. I cannot even begin to tell you how hard I tried to get the perfect picture. It involved different lightings, and maybe I'd go into different rooms, and at the very extreme, if I knew that I was gonna have to post on social media that day, I would refrain from eating for a long time just so I looked a little bit more shredded than I usually do. While I never used any tools to enhance the look of my muscles, I did use filters that made me look more shredded. After all, I needed to get at least one perfect picture after a workout, or I'd feel like I was regressing and it'd take a big hit on my self-esteem. These perfect photos are omnipresent in the lives of young boys.
This looks like a damn AI picture.
Now. They're only seeing pictures of fitness influencers in a state in which they only look like that 1% of the time. Or in some cases, they're seeing a completely fabricated version that doesn't even really exist. Then they have the audacity to lie about how they reach that level, causing huge mental health issues among young men who will always feel too small and undesirable. And the hostility now for people online who would have had what is considered to be a great physique a couple decades ago is insane. There are teenagers getting their self-esteem.
Like, I think I had it great because I didn't really grow up with social media. Like when I was like 14, 15, I mean, we were just breaking into like the iPhone 1, okay? Like, what was it? It like at the beginning of middle school, or not middle, was it middle school or the beginning of high school? We were coming out with the Razor phone, all right? The little thin flip phone after coming off of the tail end of like the Matrix or something. Like, ooh, look how thin this is. Ooh, it's like so thin. You can like shave with it. It's so thin. It's like a blade. And then like towards the end of high school, I think we started talking about smartphones of like the iPhone 1 or like a Zune or something like that, or an iPod. Yeah, it wasn't until like years later that, you know, all of this started to pop out. You have the ecosystem of all the social medias of Facebook, Instagram, rest in peace Vine. Now you got TikTok and a bunch of other ones and whatnot. So I can't speak to anything of like what it's like growing up and being like a 14-year-old having a smartphone and just being chronically online, or being like an iPad kid and having the internet at your, like growing up with the internet in its current state. That's got to be crazy. Every single business that has anything to do online is vying for this little 14-year-old person's attention, boy or girl. You are the prime target for every business.
Esteem and confidence destroyed by posting their fitness results after a few years because they don't look like the 1% that mostly get highlighted on social media. Or even if they aren't teenagers and just have a really good average physique, those guys are getting eaten up in the comments too. But I don't think this has just affected men's perception of what is considered a great physique. It's also affected women's perception too. I see a lot of women post pictures of celebrities with what they think
Dad bods are the top male physique. Okay, this is just baiting. This is just farming, trying to farm, engagement farming.
Is a dad bod, which is really just a dude in very good shape that isn't totally shredded. Just a couple decades ago, this guy would have been considered an absolute monster. But now, dad bod.
Yeah.
This checks out with the other scientific literature.
I mean, shit, for Christ's sake, there's like multiple videos of like what was it? C-Bum in his off season, and you know, people going up to like just random girls and be like, is this a dad bod? Would you like this? And they're like, or like, C-Bum in his off season is considered a dad bod. Like, are you kidding me?
Literature we have, as it's been shown that a greater total screen time was associated with greater symptoms of muscle dysphoria in both men and women.
Oh, wait, let me read that again. Among both men and women, greater total screen time and texting were associated with greater symptoms of muscle dysphoria. Okay, so that just means reduce the screen time, reduce the texting. Oh, but if I reduce the screen time, what am I going to go do? I don't know, literally anything else. Pick something. Get off social media at least. Go play a video game if you can't fucking pry your eyes away.
As a result, in the past few years, we have now seen more and more stories of teenagers trying a bunch of different substances and drugs, either being indifferent or ignorant to their side effects, just so they can look like their favorite fake natty influencer. And part of this industry has turned into a melting pot of desperate, insecure teens who have no idea how badly their physical and mental health will be affected in the long run.
Oh yeah.
Steroids and other...
And you know what it is? This is probably like an indirect thing from all these little social media people or like fitness influencers. This is an indirect thing that is happening because of them existing in the way they do. Because they take steroids, and it doesn't matter if they admit it or not. The truth telling or the lying of it does not matter. You're just over there looking like beast, doing a lot of weight, whatever. And then you're putting it out there in the internet. And what's happening? You're getting all the views, you're getting all the clicks, getting more subs, you get more followers, and then, oh, I'm just a normal person. I see all that. I gotta do that. Regardless of whether or not that little influencer person is promoting steroids or not, you know, people are gonna catch on and just be like, fuck it, I want the greatest results for the least effort. So I'm just gonna start taking steroids, because if I do that, I too will look like that. I'm gonna put in the work. I'm gonna put in the steroids. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start popping off, because that's what they see. All right, people are only gonna do what they see. They see the fitness influencer bro, like popping off, looking great, getting all the subs and whatnot. They get all the sponsorships. They get all the money. All right, that hey, what's wrong with that? But then they go ahead and go to try to do it, And what do you think happens? Do you think they're going to get similar results? I think more people are going to fail than succeed when that happens. For every one Sam Sulek that pops off, there is most likely like 100 other people that failed. It is like really what I think happens.
Hormone replacement therapies come with a whole host of side effects, including infertility, cardiovascular issues, and a greatly increased risk of premature death. But perhaps the worst part of all this is that many teenagers know the risks that come with taking these types of drugs, but they are so obsessed with achieving this certain body type that they will destroy their lives for a chance to potentially get there. When I was at my very biggest, around 222 pounds, I remember how much worse I felt on a daily basis. And this is without the use of any performance-enhancing drugs, which I've never used. It felt like my entire day was dedicated to eating. By the end of the night, I had to force feed myself just so I could be bigger. On days where my abs didn't show as much, I might go so far as to do an extra workout when I was sore and increase my risk of injury just so my shirt fit a little tighter that day. I didn't sleep as well because I was eating so late, and this began to take a toll on my mental health. And if I missed a couple days at the gym because life got in the way or I went on vacation, I'd start getting anxious and worried that I was losing all my gains. I would look in the mirror, and here would be this objectively muscular, large man, but what I would see is an average to below average looking guy with a little bit of muscles on his body who didn't really deserve to be called a bodybuilder or an athlete or anything related to the fitness world. But nobody would know this unless I spoke up about it because I looked like a fit, strong dude.
Yeah.
That is why bigorexia is so dangerous. And if we don't start to change the fitness culture and give young men more...
I don't think it'll change. It probably won't. You have like waves, I would say, of like influencers that they're like, okay, this is the generation that we are transparent. This is what I take. This is my cycle. This is everything. I'm on TRT. I'm on fucking SARMs. I'm on Tren. I'm on this. I'm on that. And they'll say what they take. But I don't think we have gotten there to the point where it's like they're saying like the dosages yet. I mean, people are like, because this is the thing. At the tippity top, like competition level, it's the opposite. So, and it's kind of funny. So as you're like let's say you're like engaging in bodybuilding or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, I want to take all the steroids. I want to get the biggest, the juiciest, the driest. I want to recover the quickest and look the most shreddedest or whatever. So I'm going to be like, I'm going to take this and this and this and everything and blah, 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 blah. But then once you reach that tippity top and you just start to communicate with your fellow competitors, what this is what happens. They all want to say, oh, I only take this. It's nothing. It's not much. I'm only on a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's nothing. Nothing really. That's what happens. They try to say that I'm not taking a lot. But meanwhile, on the come up, you're like, oh, I gotta take everything. I gotta throw the kitchen sink at it. So, what are we doing? This is crazy.
More realistic ideal to live up to, we're only going to see more young men suffer from this disorder. Look, nobody can deny that young men's increasing interest in fitness and health comes with a ton of benefits. Like I explored in my last video, young people are doing less drugs, drinking less, and placing a heavy emphasis on different protocols to live.
Yeah. Well, probably because they don't have as much money anymore. That's one thing. I'll just leave it at that.
Live longer and feel better. But like all things, it becomes a problem when it's taken to the extreme. And the current digital landscape of social media often rewards extremes over authenticity.
Yeah.
While I no longer consider myself to be a fitness influencer.
What was that pull-up bar? That's so like weird looking. And what is this bench? Is this bro? What is this? This bench is shaped like that dude's arm in the beginning, like the oil arm, bro. What happened to like these gyms are so stupid. Like, just give me a rectangle. Why are you putting like curves and shit on the bench?
I'm still heavily invested in a fit lifestyle. Only now, I've cultivated a much healthier balance with it. My goal is no longer to be
Yeah,
as
you look
big
fine,
and muscular
dude.
as
You
I
look good.
can, but rather have a fit and functional body. One that can lift heavy weights, yes, but also be athletic enough to sprint fast, run long distances, and be mobile and flexible. Does that mean I miss a workout every once in a while? Yes, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
who
take
gives a
away
shit?
from the progress I've made. If anything, it makes me make more progress in the future because I am more well rested and I have a better workout. I've started to prioritize getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night, and my energy levels are
But you sleeping right next to your computer, and it looked like you were leaving your computer on. So
ironically way higher than when I was overexerting myself lifting weights. And you know what the funniest part is? I'm 22 pounds down from my heaviest weight, but I personally
Nice.
feel like I look better than I ever have. And that's because my perception of my physique is no longer distorted by the media I consume. Okay. You know what? Sometimes it does come up. I'll check my abs in the mirror, make sure I'm still
yeah,
like shredded.
yeah. Who gives a shit? I mean, don't you want to be happy with like what you see in the mirror?
But it's a lot better than it was back then. If you're struggling with the same body image issues I've struggled with in the past, I really recommend putting a bit of distance between you and the online fitness world. These guys almost never look the way they do in photos and videos in real life. You want to know what they actually look like? Here's me with a pump in good lighting, and here's me with no pump in bad lighting. They're almost incomparable, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people's physiques anyway, especially not the edited fake natty ones on social media.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own genetic potential, and that means you might never reach what is genetically achievable for that guy you look up to online, even if they are a lifetime natural.
Yeah, but should that stop you from working out if you will never look like your favorite Joe Schmo influencer? No, you shouldn't. You should just keep working out. Because, I mean, even though you won't look like that, you'll still come pretty close. You'll probably please somebody.
And that is okay. Fitness is
Yeah.
about looking good, sure, but the primary focus
Yeah, just look good naked. Isn't that the goal? Just look good naked?
should be about feeling good. And if your fitness regimen right now is doing you more harm than good, then it's time to switch things up and honestly do a lot of inner work. The more that you ask questions like, why am I placing my value as a person only on my physique? And where might this insecurity have developed from? That's when you start to build awareness around this problem. And when you build awareness around your problems, that is when you start the process of developing a better relationship with yourself. We need more realistic representations of body standards in the media. So if you're someone who posts about bodybuilding or fitness,
I mean, you can say that, like, we need more realistic standards. And honestly, we have plenty of realistic standards, but who's getting all the clicks? Who's getting all the views? All the extreme looking crazy people that are like -% body fat. So while we do have like a pretty good amount of just normal fitness people, where's all the clicks going?
be the person that isn't afraid to be vulnerable about their body image issues and occasionally makes posts about what you really look like most of the time, just like I've done in the past. If you're someone who still struggles with bigorexia, it's going to take a lot of self-acceptance and maybe even additional help from others to finally break this addiction and get back to a healthier lifestyle. But I promise you, you look way better than you think you do right now.
Aww.
Self-acceptance is something I struggled with for years, especially as a teenager. I've made a lot of videos explaining my stories and the struggles that I've gone through and how I've overcome them in a lot of videos. So check out this video on that, which might help you. And I'm leaving. Goodbye.
All right. That was a good video. I dig it. Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. True, brother. The day you come into the gym is the day you become small forever. Professor Dom. Yeah. Also true. I mean, Yeah, man. It's like this all or nothing mentality. It is just like hilariously crazy, where you just become a character and you embody the character of like your fitness personality, but it's like this is just crazy to me. I mean, overall, good video, dude. Keep it up, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.